Let's bring in Frank Lopez Jr., retired Border Patrol agent, Army veteran, and former congressional candidate. Frank, good morning to you. So Karine Jean-Pierre says that the president has been to the border. Our records indicate that he hasn't been since his 2 years as president. What do you make of that comment from the White House press secretary yesterday?
Yeah, he hasn't been down here. We keep in contact with our border friends and other correspondents. He came down to Uvalde. That's about 80 miles from the border, but he hasn't been down here to Del Rio, El Paso, the Rio Grande Valley.
Frank, you were a chaplain with Border Patrol, is that right?
Yes, 1998 started a chaplaincy program with the team.
So we're getting some really disturbing news that about the suicide rate among Border Patrol agents. And in November alone, there were 3 agents that committed suicide in November, bringing the total of suicides to 14 this year. That's more than over a decade. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I'm not surprised, Carly. Look, it's always an inherent risk within this law enforcement culture as they're dealing with the stresses of law enforcement work, trying to juggle family life along with that. And so now it's been exacerbated by the failed Biden policies. These agents are not doing the job they were hired to do.
Yeah, so we see the videos, Frank, of the thousands of people that are crossing the border every single day. And clearly that has changed the job of Border Patrol. What are some of the stresses that Border Patrol agents are facing on a day-to-day basis that we might not know about?
Yeah, well, in addition to, the daily dangers, there are still some agents that are patrolling. They're having to deal with, wild police car chases. They're having to deal with drug smugglers, alien smugglers, human traffickers, as components of the cartels. That's part of it. But now they've got this additional stressor in that they're not doing their jobs, Carly. They're stuck, chained to a desk, and they are not performing the primary mission, which is to detect, prevent terrorists and weapons of mass destruction from entering the country. They are not being allowed to uphold their constitutional duties. And so this is a tremendous strain on the families as well as Border Patrol agents because, they're being told to do something that they know is inherently against their nature, against the laws that we have on the books, and against the Constitution. So I'm not surprised that this is creating a very, volatile situation for agents, employees, and their families down there.
Yeah. When it comes to suicide, it's a complicated issue. There could be a variety of reasons as to why somebody makes that terribly misguided and unfortunate choice, but it is a disturbing trend, and CBP is aware of it. A spokesperson says there is no higher priority for CBP than taking care of our people. CBP has expanded the number of on-site clinicians and is hiring over a dozen operational psychologists. Together, these licensed professionals implement an evidence-based suicide prevention and intervention program. Do you think that that's a good enough response, how they're handling it?
Well, I'll tell you right off the bat, there's an inherent aspect to the suicide awareness and prevention, Carly, which is this. Once an agent, an employee makes a cry for help, they are placed under an administrative microscope. And so these agents need to be able to ask for help without repercussions from the agency. They do not need to be investigated by Internal Affairs or the Office of Personnel Responsibility. When they make a cry for help, they need to do so without repercussions from the agency. And you speak with these agents out in the field, they know that if they reach out for help, they're going to be ostracized. There's going to be a stigma that's attached to that. So the very important component has to be that they can step forward without repercussions, without their careers, their livelihood, their ability to provide for their families, without that being threatened. And so you can have all these people bring on board staff, but if those clinicians have a duty to report to the agency, to management officials, it's going to fall flat on their face. And the other thing I would add to this is training, lifestyle adjustment workshops. Law enforcement is inherently dangerous. It's very stressful. And so we're bringing people, we're technically training them, teaching them the law, etc. but they need to be trained in dealing with the stresses that are unique to law enforcement, unique to the Border
Right.
Patrol. And so that's what I would do if I had the say so.
Yeah, and with Title 42 ending later this month, those stresses could only get worse. It's such an unfortunate situation.
Yes.
Frank Lopez Jr., thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Carly.